Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. $6.23. It's about a 10-second delay there. Not terrible.
For those of you out there that have been hitting that like button, I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
It's 80s night at the Road Dog Crypto Chart Lounge. Hope you're enjoying the tunes. Countdown. And that was Pirate Ship. Now this next band got its great start at the famous Whiskey A Go Go. Let's welcome the Blind Butt Pirates and their love song. Hit me one more time where it hurts so bad. You're listening to America's Top 40. And I'm Casey Kasem. All right, guys, we're getting ready to get started. Just having a little silly fun while we're out here. Grab your skating partner, take a lip around the skating ring, holding hands. Not too close, though. It's against the rules. Don't make us call your parents. I see you making out behind that Pac-Man machine. Y'all need to break it up. Just me alone with my crypto bubbles. I've been here before. Oh, and what do we have going on the daily? Look at all that red on the top 100. Except for Pepe. And he has still been fun to trade. Ups and downs. Sometimes I get on the bad side of Pepe and he just spanks me hard. Sometimes I get on Pepe's good side and he treats me right. Currently, I'm on Pepe's good side. Hope to stay there. But all I've been trading lately has basically been a little bit of Bitcoin, but a lot of Pepe. And I've had my share of wins and losses with Mr. Pepe, but I do try to keep them updated here in the, which one is it? The chart room over in the general section. 55% on the long, 80% on the Pepe long, 145% on the Pepe short. And yeah, I think these were today. 171% on a Pepe long. That was also today. 81% on the Pepe long. And this one was 62%, but that was yesterday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nice little trades out of Pepe today, and he hasn't spanked me yet. So hopefully we'll keep that lucky streak going. Oh, look at Mr. Hex. Down about a place where I could see myself picking some of this up. Because it did pretty good last year, right? It went up to what? That was 13 cents there. Let's check this little guy out. Oh, blind us, baby. Blind us. Don't blind me. There we go. So we got up almost to 50 cents there. So getting it at 2 or 3 cents. Yeah, I'm kind of cool with that. Looked on the chain, I don't see anything going on there. I don't see any kind of apps. I haven't found any apps, any kind of dexes or anything like that. So the 16,000% return for the people who sacrificed and got in on this, well, you can't call them fools. No, sir, you cannot. So I don't rule that out of being a degen play. Phantom's looking kind of low. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the charts. Looking at Bitcoin. Just let me know if the music is too loud. I think I might just turn it down a little bit if I can find it. Come here, music. Just down a touch. So, Bitcoin, is it bearish? Well, depends on how you look at it. Now, I will say this. Open up my chart here a little wider. Let's get this full screen thing going on because it's sexy. That didn't sound sexy because it's sexy. Had a measured move. Look at this. We were in a rising channel, right? And we had this little heart line here, the little middle line, basically a middle line. Lots of touches there, making firm support, you know, and then we wicked out of it and then we candlesticked out of it because the saying is what gets wicked usually gets candlesticked. But check out this measured move. Taking a measured move from that channel, put it down to the breakout point. Whoops, to the first breakout point. Where does it come? Crazily, it comes down to this measured move area. Whoops. Slide you up, baby. And that target was hit. 26.38 actually came down to 25.829 according to my chart. So that was one way to predict a possible take profit target for a short or a possible buy area once the measure move plays out. Let me show you another one that I use a lot. You guys have probably seen me do this. Probably works a little bit easier to see on the daily. And that's just taking a measure of Fibonacci from this leg to the top. Negative 1.27 comes in here. Hit our negative 1.618. So that's another way to do it. My favorite way is go from that low, top side down, right here, down to the low leg, and look for that negative 2.7. That's actually the correct way to do this. But even if you mess it up, you can get in the right ballpark if you got the right extensions in the right places. Came down to 25.860. How accurate is the negative 2.7? It's a bottom signal here. And what this tells me is that we got a chance to come back up, and if we don't make it past the 236, and especially if we don't make it past the 382, well, we're coming back down to these areas, which is, let me clear this out and show you. Another 0.27 area right there. So, should we not break bullishly from this point and just keep going up? If we don't get past 28,311, definitely look for some more downside and that would be the target that I'll share with you guys. First at 24,717. Next one down would be 24,134. Leandro is in the house. How you doing, Leandro? That's my original OG. Any of you guys that have found this channel would not have found it without this man's help. Him hitting that like button, leaving comments. And he also helped me out with my sound problems when I first started out. Let me know that I was in mono, because I would not have noticed and I would not have figured that out for months. My man Leandro, how you doing? Glad to have you. The one person who watches my live streams. Glad to have you, man. Glad to have you here. Just taking a look at Bitcoin, showing my little tricks for trying to figure out these bottoms here. And let me just go over that because this is kind of cool. So we're looking at this leg here. When we broke down, that was our big impulse move down. We found support laid out, right? Draw my Fibonacci from top to bottom. That gave us a negative 2.7. This thing works like a charm the biggest part of the time for finding a bottom. That's not how I got this one, though. I actually got this one, and I showed it earlier. I don't know if you were here, but let me just show you the measure move from here, putting out to the breakout. That's how I got my actual target. The negative 2.7 had it a little bit more accurate. Either way works, right? Whatever works. But it being a negative 2.7 is a bottom signal for now. Also finding support here on this 200 moving average. Of course, we're on the 12-hour. So we can see a little bit of upside. Now, how far, I don't know, because it's highly unlikely that it breaks back into this pattern and just goes totally bullish. And Leander says he's doing well, and I'm doing well too tonight. And Grizz is in the house. Welcome, Grizz. Glad to have you here, my man. Grizz said earlier that he only gets bearish when he sees a bunch of green weekly candles in a row. My man Grizz. Grizz strikes me as a man with some trading experience. So this was a makeshift area right here, this trend line that I got that made this channel. I just took the top channel, kept that angle, drew it down where it had the best supports. Now, if we want, we can also take a measured move from that. You make that line straight so it's easier to see. And there's a what was that? There is a possibility. Move it to the breakout area. This one suggests possibility of coming down to 23,369. Will it happen? I have no idea. But if we do get what we call a bearish retest, where we do not break it past that point, I would look for it. Has me curious if I do draw my 2.7 down. Do we get in the same area? Or 141 does. It's not a precise move there. But let me go ahead and mark this little guy, just for craps and giggles. However, I'm not really sold on this channel just because we had that bearish breakout over here earlier we'll look at. So always keep those things in the back of my mind. But this little possible. But well, actually I do like that line because it does line up over here. And there and there. So I take that back. That actually is a pretty solid formation. So that would be a bear trap. Could we get lucky enough to have another bear trap? Possible. I mean, looking on the weekly, we are still in this big Ichimoku cloud, which typically likes to spit us out on the other side at some point. Then says, it's great to find you live. Could you have a look at DOT and MATIC later? I sure can. We'll do that in just a second. And I'm also looking at this little speculation here, just taking it from this bottom to that candle close, and it comes really close to where we wick down to. Something else that leads to confluence for, maybe some support there. But, looking at some of these charts, so I'm about to get a bearish cross of the 9 over the 21 here on the 3-day, and that would indicate that we could come down to this 50. So a little confluence on there. Also got the moving averages heading bearish, even though we found support at the 100 here on the daily, which, you know, we could get a little upside, a little bit. But eventually, we're going to have to retest this 200 like we did over here at some point. And I don't like being in the middle of this green cloud, but you can see over here, we're in the cloud and it spit us out. It would be beautiful in my mind if we had something else like that. I am not a Bitcoin bear. Overall, on Bitcoin, I am very bullish, but you have to be realistic when it gets kind of bearish, going through little corrections. But this is normal. Nothing to be crazy about, nothing to get too upset about. The good signs that we have is that stochastics are turning to the upside. We're still in the green a little bit on money flow. It's starting to come down, but VWAP's starting to go up. There's some good signs here on the daily that don't look as bearish to me. Taking a look at the MACD, I like it when histograms start turning light a little bit. Gives us a little bit of hope. Maybe there'll be a turnaround there. So ultimately, I'm just looking for a little bit of a retest. I know we'll definitely have to struggle a little bit. 27,305. That's an area we have to look at. That could be where we get rejected. Who knows? By the time we get there, the 9 could be there, and that could be what we get rejected off of. If we do get rejected off that 9 moving average, expect some more downside fairly quickly. However, if we support it, then we're going to come up and test this 21, and we're going to be right up in these areas, about 28,345. So, yeah, I'm cool with that too. Basically, with Bitcoin, I have margin trades where I'm using some responsible leverage, and it's a lot easier to trade than perps. A whole lot easier, and works a lot better in my opinion. Perps are kind of fast and easy monies or fast and easy liquidations, depending on how you play it. Margin is just a little bit more responsible, and you can actually use it as a tool more effectively to build your position. So that's what I'm doing. I ran out of cash or stable coins, so I've had to move some Bitcoin over to my exchange and using that on margin to take advantage of any cool low prices that we might be getting. Ender says, thanks, Lane. By the way, do you see altcoin season coming anytime soon? Let's take a look. Total 2. Let's look at this on the daily. Total 2 is flirting with my bottom line here. If it breaks below this line here, I am not seeing altcoin season. However, with this pattern, head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders, probably see it better on the daily if we go there. Move the screen around. When you get a head and shoulders pattern, we had some luck where it did, break out of it, but it came back. And they can do this. It's called technically called a throwback. Sometimes we just call them pullbacks because it's easier to use. Bukowski's big on using the term throwback for this purpose. But this is still acceptable. Now, technically, it should not come back further than this right shoulder. And we got the 200 moving average there. We may wick down, may test that, but we still got some hope that we could still get some upside and for this pattern to still be validated. This pattern, what I'm trying to say is this inverted head and shoulders is not yet invalidated. So there's still hope for an altcoin season just based on this alone. And here on the daily, we got the green dot. Indicators are starting to look nice that we'll find support here and start moving up. So that will be helpful over the next few days. That's a good sign. Thanks for asking that question, by the way, because I have not looked at this today. The other one we want to look at is Bitcoin dominance, which has been struggling. And we like that. But, man, our indicators, they're getting kind of low too. So we may see a few days this coming week where altcoin prices will improve some, but if Bitcoin dominance finds support here on this pattern, which it's a megaphone pattern, but when they're right angled like this, they're a little bit more bullish than they are bearish. Now, if it was slanting up a little bit, like an ascending pattern, kind of like that, those are more bearish. But this one, it's just got a little bit more of a bullish edge to it, which for Bitcoin dominance, that doesn't really help us out very much. So watching this for the next few days, and if we could get lucky and it break down to the bottom of this and start coming down, and that will help our altcoins a lot. But indicators, man, the indicators are starting to look a little bullish. And some people say that you can't go by divergence on these indices, but I don't think that's very accurate at all. I think divergences work on any chart, whether it's actually something that someone trades or it just takes a measure of a group of things, and all Bitcoin dominance does is measure, well, how much money is in the Bitcoin versus altcoins on a 100% scale. 47% of the money out there in crypto is currently in Bitcoin. So if we see that drop, the money will be moving to altcoins, and that will be great. So we're still just kind of watching that closely. We can't call it yet, but it's got a good chance. Look, we found rejection here twice. That's on our side. Coming into a green cloud, so maybe it'll come back up. What these patterns usually do is do what we call a partial decline or a partial incline. Or, did I say that right? Meaning that if it comes down here and comes back up halfway, that's a good sign. Kind of almost makes kind of a triple top. I'm not going to say head and shoulders because, oh well, somewhat. I don't like the shoulder being higher than the head, so I don't call it a head and shoulders. But if we don't make it up past this point here, good chance to come down. But this may take, another week or so to play out. Then again, it could happen Monday morning. Who knows? All right, let's take a. Whoops. Hope that head and shoulders pattern plays out to swap some alts for BTC, as I've learned here. Yeah, I've been waiting for that too. That's a big part of my strategy to grow that Bitcoin, but we just have not had a really good altcoin season. That was a nice one over here. That was back last year though. Or, yeah, last June. So we're about due for one. That would be great. If it's just a short, a mini altcoin season, I'll settle for that. Just let me start seeing some gains in my altcoins, because Bitcoin has just been tearing up my altcoins. At this point, I'm like, why did I even buy that altcoin? And I've got a lot I need to weed out and get rid of completely, or mostly. All right. And Leandro asked if we take a look at DOT. Let's take a look at Polkadot. This is another one of my major holds too. And I've got this staking. And I think I have it charted on KuCoin. Oh, and that's a messy chart too. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Let's take a fresh look at this on Binance. Oh, well, I've messed with that one too, haven't I? All right. So on the daily chart with Polkadot, and we did have the breakout of the falling wedge, even had a retest there. Now we're retesting that area. There's a potential for a double bottom here. So I'm hoping for that. Let's go ahead and mark that as our daily support area, because that should, it's got a good chance to hold. I've got lots of hope for Polkadot. But man, it has just been, in this range forever, seems like. But at least we're not down at 431. If we are, I'm going to find some way to buy. But we got the green dot on markets over here. MACD looked like it was taking an upswing. Stochastics going up. These are some good signs. VWAP's to the upside. Let me jump to the weekly real quick. Weekly is about to bottom out there. MACD's having a little bit of struggle, but it's still in a good spot so far, as long as it doesn't cross bearish. What happened? Yeah, I just did something again. Really? There we go. Now I lost my other one. Yeah, it's hidden. There you are. You're hidden. Sometimes I get lost in these things. All right. So there's a good chance that we'll bounce here, and I hope we do. moving averages, well, they're still in a good shot. They're still in a decent place, but nothing really majorly bullish yet, because our 50 EMA is still under the 100 there. So if we do come up, we're probably still looking for some sideways movement within this range, probably for a good little while still to come, in my opinion. But at the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to drop anymore. Now, the 50 crosses at 200 is going to drop and possibly come back down and retest this area. But right now, we're just testing where we kind of came back for our pullback from the breakout of this pattern. So at the moment, it looks like we got a chance. At least we're going to come back up and retest this 200. So that's about 587, somewhere through there. Let me see if we can squeeze anything else out of this. I will throw that target right there, and that would line up beautiful with this. A lot of times you'll see price come back. It may not come back and double test that exact same level. Sometimes you'll see it be just a little bit above. Yeah, that's where this number comes in. So that's a possible. If things do go south, 441 would be the target that I would look at for maybe putting some limit orders in. But right now, not confirmed, but once we get above that 9 moving average, I consider this to be a double bottom scenario here. And we should start trying to at least work back up to 686 if that happens. Although could get a hiccup here at 586. And let's take a quick look at MATIC. Sometimes I think I just have too many lines on these charts. I just need to clear some of this stuff out. That was probably a buy zone that we apparently never did hit. I like this song. It sounds a lot like Journey. All right, wow, Polygon is taking a hit. And I guess with so many layer 2s out there. Oh, let's go back to check the chat here. Andrew says, yeah, it seems like it's ranging forever. I hope it pumps hard when it does. Yeah, me too. I want to see $50 dot again. I'd be happy with $21 dot, just something. Let me moonbag it. I'm still waiting on the moonbag. I have gotten a lot of problems. You know, I figured by this point in the game that I would have more moonbags than I do, and a lot of the altcoins just haven't, you know, they haven't doubled up for me yet on some of the bigger ones. So MATIC, okay, let me just get rid of all these lines that are in our way. Right there, 77.45 and 68.42. So how this works, and it works a lot, not every time, but I give it at least 80 to 90% accuracy. Aiming for that 2.7 level, should be a negative 2.7 level. And that's the first point that we could actually bottom and find support and start going up. And sometimes it's a little bit more bullish or a little bit more bearish, and you'll see it drop down to, you know, the 414, 68 cents. Both of those are great. Rarely, but it does happen. If it's extremely, extremely bearish, you can hit this negative 618. Now, I don't see that happen very often, but it can. That's why I have it there. If I see this 50 crossover that yellow, the 50 crossover the 200, maybe I would save a little for that price point. But usually it takes a lot for that for that to happen. I don't see it happen too often. 68 cents sounds like a good bombing price for MATIC. That lines up with this recent bottom, and we don't want to break below that. And we can also do this. It may just have a wick down here. It may not even go down there at all. Possible. I mean, I've one coin that I recently did, it has not made it down there yet, although I still think it will. Sometimes what we see, you know, maybe making a double bottom here and a quick wick and then something like that, but still it's breaking below this trend line. But as long as we don't make newer lows, I don't want to see us go below 74 cents. If we do that, then yeah, it could be a slow mover for quite a while, in my opinion. So I'm really watching this one right here. That would be the death cross, what we call it. But they're usually not that horrible, right? Can I say that? That one was horrible. I take that back. This one was pretty bad. That one was horrible. Don't want to see that play out again. Nothing like that. That would, no. We don't need negative 7 cent MATIC. But I do think we have a good chance. Just the way this plays out. Support at one of these two numbers. And I will have to add to my bag if I've got some of that. If that happens. Because I think I have some. I'm doing MATIC in that IRA thing with iTrust. That's where I'm doing. Where I'm trying to build more of a MATIC bag. I've already got my MATIC bags, or Polygon bags on my ledger, and I don't plan on adding to those. But the one on iTrust, I'm looking at adding some more. Now, there's one little trick that I do. I mean, if you're trying to forecast, and that's all we're trying to do is forecast where price could go and stuff like that, right? So if this technique works so well, and it usually does, well, one thing that you can do is just take your regular Fibonacci and just bring it down to that point and pretend that that's where it hit. And then you can just kind of check and see how well your other Fibonacci levels line up. And they look like they're doing pretty well for that weight, right? And so when you do this, that should give you the areas that we can look at getting rejected. So if we do make it down here, it tells us pretty strongly that we got to make it back past 96 cents or maybe come down lower. And that may be what happens to get this second target at 68 cents. That could be how that plays out. I cannot predict this price action because if I draw a line, what it's going to do, the price action does some other weird stuff, but the targets usually come into play. They usually pan out. Other area, $1.07, and this is how I find targets a lot of times. I wait for the confirmation, but this is a way we can kind of guess. And so we could see, 126 out of MATIC again. Could happen. But we're just kind of doing some crazy forecasting right now. And I can't. Come on. Get rid of these little dots that I like to put on my screen here. All right. Chris asked, do you think we'll get a chance to pick up some time at lower prices than we are at? Let's take a look. I got some of that, but I think I bought. I mean, I got like maybe less than 2 of those. I just nibbled at it, but I nibbled at it when it was too high, apparently. It looked like a really cool project, right? And I was reading about it. Sounds awesome. And I'm just like, well, what happened? Because that sucked when we lost that area. Well, right now we're at a bottom. I mean, this would be an excellent place for it to double bottom. Let's bring up some indicators here. Green dot on the daily. It's had them before and kept coming down, but stochastics are at the bottom. Will it come down more? I mean, it looks like it wants to kind of have a chance to turn around. Ichimoku Cloud doesn't say that. If Ichimoku Cloud agrees with you, it probably can come down. Wow. This one. Ooh, I like that. Nice rounded bottom right there. So what level? And I'm wait a minute, is this on? Oh, this is time in BTC though. Sorry about that. Thought I had the right one. I've been doing Ethereum with it. There it is. There's Tether. And okay, last time I looked at it, I was thinking it could double bottom here too. I think that's still valid. Now the Ichimoku Cloud looks a lot better here. So the last chart with Bitcoin, now that makes sense with the Ichimoku Cloud, because Bitcoin takes off, it's going to lose value against Bitcoin. But yeah, it could come down lower, definitely. Could also come down to $17. What's it at currently? 24? I forgot where I picked some of this up at, but it was much more than that. It was probably around 50 or something. I'm underwater on that one. But it sounded like such a cool project that I at least wanted to have a little taste of it, you know? So what can you tell me here on the chart? And on the weekly here, weekly's bottom out, man. RSI's at a good level. It's still got a little bit lower that it can go. For the RSI especially. Although, look at that. Is that divergence? That's divergence. That's hidden bullish divergence. So that says that we should continue with the trend. So yeah, I would be looking at this this weekly support area about 2152. That could happen. The only thing about hidden bearish divergence, when you got price there and you got your RSI down here, if that price keeps dropping down, it negates it. So I do, you know, it's good, it's valuable, but I'd rather see regular bullish divergence over anything. But yeah, I would definitely look at these areas down here as a possibility. 21, and hopefully we don't come down to, well, it's 1646, but we need to mark that anyway, just to be on the safe side. As another possibility. But really cool project though, I thought. Linder says, I'd love to see MATIC at those prices to pick up more, but this one also seems to range for long. Don't it though? Doesn't it? It feels like a lot of them are ranging. But yeah, MATIC seems to do that. One that I always thought, I mean, Cardano is definitely one of those slow rangers, right? But a lot of people are big on, was it the Graph? And it had so much hype when it came out, right? And I was dumb enough to, and naive enough at that time to FOMO in on some of that. But man, you talk about a ranger. It just seems like this one never does anything. And look at this. This is pretty much flat since last June. I mean, a lot of them are, but still, I guess it was over here. It just, I was not impressed with this coin. It did make it up. It did actually do pretty good in the long run, but it seemed like it just took it forever to play out. And that was February. That was right at the beginning of the bull market, right? So it topped out before everything else topped out, and then it gave it up. So I'm just not big on the graph. It may do good, but these are definitely some good prices. Cheers. And it says, I think BAT could get to 10 in the next bull run. I hope so. I hope we have a good bull run. Last one I always thought was a little bit disappointing with the altcoins, because I thought the altcoins would perform a little bit better, but Bitcoin kind of stole the show, it seems like. The one back in 2017, though, that was the altcoin season. About 1 month after Bitcoin topped out, the altcoins went crazy. And we didn't see that this last time. Of course, I think we kind of found out a little bit of the influence behind it with Alameda and how that they were just dumping. They definitely did Solana dirty. All right, Leandro says, thanks a lot, Lane. Your TA is great as usual. Appreciate that. Don't know how great it is, but it seems to do pretty good most of the time. Not all the time. Not 100%, but I've got a few little tricks that help out. We just lose support there. All right. Chris says, thanks, Link. Nice. Appreciate that. Thank you, Grizz. Thank you, Leandro. And I feel like we were trying to look at something else. Were we? If you guys want to take a look at anything else, let me know. I'm going to check out my little meme coin. Old Gel Pepe. Is this my chart? Oh, I don't remember doing this. Probably because I haven't looked at that big of a chart. I've been a lot of time on this one. I've just been stuck on the 1 minute. But let's see how old Pepe is doing. Well, we're regaining this area here. That's cool. We didn't make it up past there. Couldn't get past 21. Pepe's looking a little bit bullish. So definitely 16, all those 5 zeros and 1622 might be a place to find. Well, there may be some support there. You have to play Pepe very carefully if you're using leverage. But what I see is that 9 is sitting right above that 21 right now. Are you getting ready to cross? Let's come down to this 24 minute. Pepe may be trying to fool us. Let's see, the green one. It's 1848. Okay, so it is under red. It did cross. Huh. So trying to figure out if this is a bull flag. Could be. It's kind of got descending triangle vibes there. Big Ichimoku cloud. Closer it gets to that cloud, the more likely it is to go into it and go down. But this is nice where the 50s coming up on that 100. If this is a bull flag, that could be a nice move out of Pepe if it goes bullish. Excuse me there. Good Lord, could we make it up that high? That's a big one to go for. It's been there before. That would be some nice gains. 53%. 10x, that's 530%. 20x, that's 1,000%. I would like to have a trade like that. I'm cool with it. See this little cloud start tilting to the upside. I would like that. That's what Mr. Bollinger says. Interesting. Bollinger Bands are awesome. I use those on my phone all the time. Chris says Sin. Oh, let's take a look at Sin. I like this one. Now, I've got some inclinations about being so pro on this violent game, because I'm really not big on that. I do think that's kind of destructive overall for society, but it's a cool game, man. It's one that people want to play, and it looks fun. I don't know, it's a real cool project. But I do have a little bit of a moral dilemma there, but oh well. Sin is looking good to me. That's the 1 hour. Let's check out the daily. Oh, nice. So hopefully we're going to bottom out here. Double bottom here. Strong support. What have I got? Bullish divergence, do we? I don't know what. That wasn't on the daily that I had that. Market cipher looks nice. VWAP's coming up. Money flow's going down. That's weird. Stochastics have bottomed out. That's a very good chance we found the bottom here, especially with that green candle coming in. I think that was on the cross there that I had circled. So this was a 618. I'm trying to remember what I had on the TA on this. I had levels marked. In 5.3, I thought that was a target that I had. I can't remember what I had on the video. But falling wedge pattern, which it kind of broke to the downside, kind of like a trap, huh? Can we see this a little bit better on a smaller time frame? 1 hour looks bearish there. At least, it'll probably be red light, green light. Money flow's coming up. That's a great sign. Even with VWAP coming down, we'll start seeing a little stochastics being pinned toward the top is my best guess on that one. I think it looks good. I like the moving averages and how they're moving. And we move this. You can see they're green on the 1 hours, crossed over the 21 and the 50 is targeting that 100. So at least hit it up to 0.0056 anyway. Need to clear this area, which, you know, it wicked up. Just got to get a candle body over that. I think it's doing good. I like this one. Now, I got too much red in here. I need to change these colors or something so I can see this. Now, that was my top trend line, and that guy is gone. This was the bottom trend line. Went outside it, came back in, retested that as support. I just want to mark this bottom here. And that bottom's at 55. But not this bottom. It actually came down to 53. I think I said 53. I think that was a 2.7 area. Alright, so I've got all these measured moves over here. Let me clear those out since we came down so far. I just want to go over my targets again. So there was a 2.7 level there. We lost it when that happens. It didn't make up past the 0. Came back down to it. Good chance it's going to come down further. Then you just redraw your Fibonacci. Look for the next negative 0.27, and that's where we got it. I don't see anybody else using this trick, man, but I'm telling you, this is a cool little trick. And so that, if this is the bottom, we just continue our Fibonacci on down here, and then we will look at these levels. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that they make sense, right? So the 236, does it have a level? Yeah, worked out good. 382, yeah, a little bit below that. The 50 matches up with that good. This area, 618 matches up. So I'm good with that. These are my targets. We can also do a measure move from the following wedge, and we'll do that too. But since we now have pretty much a bottom, I mean, I could be sorely disappointed, but probability say we probably bottomed out here. And I would love to see it come back up to 1.2 cents. That would be awesome. How much would that just come back up to 618, 128%? Even just coming back up to 0.008. And that was when my first when we were back over here, that was when the 8 and 9 were my first two targets to look at. And then of course it went on further, unfortunately, but it's accumulation. So making it back up to there, that's 50% return for whatever's bought here. 82% there, the 382. So I mean, I do anticipate this one to take a while to reach back up here. And I don't think it's going to happen until, you know, they announce another land sale. So we'll probably see some ranging through these areas, probably more than likely between 8 and 9 cents a lot, is my guess. But when they do another land sale, baby, that's going to be the profit time. Rizzo says, thanks. I think this one's got some potential. I do too, man. And a nice trick. Hey, man, that trick, this little fib trick, man, I'm telling you, you want to add that to your toolbox. That is I've been playing with this thing for a couple of years now, and the more I use it, I mean, it's just my go-to now. I find myself starting to use Fibonacci's a little bit more than I do some other methods I usually use to find my targets. But our measured move target suggests right up here, and it's crazy how these line up, depending on the exact point where this actually does break out. And sometimes I find, you know, when you get a breakout and then it comes back and it tests the trend line at a lower area, sometimes I find that that's a more accurate place a lot of times to put your measure move on the retest. Oh gosh, let's hope this doesn't do it. I don't want to see this thing go down any lower. Well, if it does, I'll buy more, but I'd like to start seeing some profit instead of seeing my accumulation bags dwindle. But breaking out there, it comes up to about the halfway point, which that's going back to Dow theory, and 0.0117 is the measure move I've got right now. I think that's pretty healthy. And that's 108%. I'm not going to complain about that. I think I'm going to share this one on the Telegram group. I forget to do that sometimes. But I think it's good to do a little update on that. Not student charts. And I can't even navigate my own Telegram group. There we go. Yeah, that wasn't cool. So let's just paste that little guy in there. And put updated targets. Cool. All right, so we looked at Sin. One other thing, look at INJ again. Man, I've been trying to build a bag of this. And it keeps wanting to go up on me. It'll come down, but it keeps wanting to... I think it's bullish, dude. So I was really hoping to get a chance to get some of this about 450 or somewhere through there. I don't know if it's going to make it down there or not. Let me raise that little guy up a little bit. So 547. Maybe the best price we see out of that, according to the little fib trick. And 496. I want that. I want that. I think this one can, and that makes sense too, with our trend line if it maintains that angle in this channel. That would be cool. Let me come to a bigger time frame. Oh, good. Maybe you have a chance to do that. I mean, it sucks for everybody that's in it and for it to, you know, price to come down, but I'm trying to get more of this. I'm trying to stake this little baby for a while until it goes up. Yeah, it can. That's what I'm looking at. It does have weekly support here at 412. But we may not make it below, you know, just a little under $5 on it. May not. But in my margin positions over on KuCoin, I'm waiting. I've got orders stacked down here. I'm going to have to kind of recalculate them or redo them after going over this now. But I do have them kind of spread out, pyramided in these zones for accumulation. You think it'll come down? Yeah. Sadly, I think a lot of these alts are going to be continue coming down for a little bit. Osvaldo Luna. Hey, glad to have you here. Let's look at Rose. That's not it. I typically automatically go to KuCoin because that's where I mostly trade. Although I'm starting to trade more on MexC, at least futures anyway. But if you have a particular exchange or anything, I'm happy to do that too, or a time frame. Oh, we lost this little guy. Make my line just a little bit more accurate there. So support, lost it, and then did a bearish retest. So this little guy is getting ready to come down. So let's take a look and see. But we're in a bigger pattern here anyway. It's always good to zoom out. So this one I'm doing a little different. I'm doing from this swing low to that swing high, and then I've got the reverse on here. Or I guess it's actually the correct ones. 1.27. And you can see a little conflict. I mean, the different ones, but they line up in the same areas. 1411 lines up with that other area as well. I think it's the same thing, wasn't it? Wasn't that the 1412? Yes, it was. So when I see things like that, when I see a lot of different techniques and a lot of different things spell out the same thing, that's where I tend to put more weight. So looking at this guy right here, 0.013 is a possibility where it will come down. We did break this trend line. So that's a typically a bearish sign, that more downward action. And then what I like to do is look at our moving averages and see how they're playing. We're under 200 on the daily. That's automatically bearish. Whenever that happens, that's bearish. I like to check the 4 hour too, and we've lost that one. And 4 hours top. 4 hours looking kind of rough. This one's getting ready to come down. This is actually a good short place. Now it could come back up and retest that 200 if I were going to short, and what I usually do in these situations, if I wasn't planning on it and trying to get back into a short, I'm targeting that 200 and possibly that 9. Definitely that 200 I would target and just see if it hits. But that's what I'm getting, man. Now we could. This is kind of like a symmetrical triangle, and I don't trust those guys at all. I don't even trust taking a measure move from a symmetrical triangle. And this is coming down to crazy levels. They're just not reliable. But I do believe the fib levels are reliable. Just making sure I'm not missing anything else here. Actually, I think the measure move, I think that came just a little bit past. Let's go back to the daily where I had that. Measure move coming straight down is the best way to take them. Some people take them from the whole move, and you can do that too. That's actually really close to my Fibonacci level that I looked at. So there's like 3 points of confluence right there pointing toward that same place. I'm looking at 0.013. When you get so many things lining up, giving you the same price points, it usually ends up playing out that way. Chris says I meant patience. I got you on that. Patienta. I got fat thumbs. Patience. And Striga Heart's in the house. Late one tonight. Not a problem. Glad to have you here, my man. SwiftCoin playing with my emotions today. You were asking about that. Or someone was asking about it. I think it was you. Someone left a comment asking about that. It may have been you. You may have had a different name. Playing with your emotions. It looks like it's doing good. Upward breakout. Bottom here, bottom there. Fell down below it. Is that what it was? Bear trap. You got to watch these guys. That's a 2.7 level. That was when the Fibonacci tricks bounced right off of that. Didn't come down to the 414. I color code them so I know what they are. And technically it did not. Came just a little shy. My measurement may have been off. So you do have to treat these things as a little bit of a zone. Let me measure that again. Try to see if I can get right on it. And it was this little guy right there at that bottom. No, I got it right on it. So it's possible for them for them to come really, really close. And this has got to be, it's got to be a measurement issue. If I went to the candle body instead of the wick, I don't know if that's going to be the secret to that or not, but so that's what I mean. Not 100%, but that's pretty dang 99.9% close, isn't it? Man, that went up pretty good. Look at that. That's 140% gain up there. And where it's at now, 80%. Trigger says he wants to see it go to $10, all or nothing. Is it, I can't remember. No, I think I charted this and put this on the Telegram group. I had to, or either I looked at it earlier today in anticipation of going over it tonight. I can't remember when I did this. What we got? 10 billion. That's a lot. Oh, I wish these coins would quit putting out so many huge numbers. But 5 million market cap. And you want to see it go to $10. I don't think that's going to happen, but now your 1 billion market cap coins, they can get up around $8 to $10. So a 10 billion, I'm looking about 80 cents. I think you can at least get a 10x out of it. Of course, you know, it may surprise us all. And they could be burning tokens. I mean, I really have not dug into this project at all. I'm just going purely speculating by market cap numbers. But it reached 9 cents five years ago. Wow. But it hasn't been back to those lows from 2020. That's a good sign. How far did it get down? We're coming close. But it isn't a breakout now. It's got the volume behind it. See the volume spike right there? That's a confirmed breakout right there. That's a good sign. So you can expect it to retest. You said it was playing with your emotions. If you're looking for a good place to get in, that 200 moving average, it'll come back to that. And that's at 0.0117. So getting back on that at the retest, I mean, you can still make some good gains there as it continues to go up, because I got some targets. I've got a measured move up here at 0.00236. That would be from this channel, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So it looks good to me. And this is on the daily. Now stochastics are kind of high, so you do expect a retest. Now how this can happen, and I talk about moving averages because you always count on moving averages, but also when it comes to the pattern, it's going to come back. It's got a chance to come back about 64, I think, 65% chance on these to come back to where it broke out. So it can, you know, doesn't mean it's going to just bounce right off of that 200. It can come down a little bit lower. So you could also put some targets down here at 0.0105, right in that area. So that's typically what it does. Comes back and you retest the breakout price, or it can come down and retest that line. Now, when it does that, it can come down a little bit lower. But you got 3 areas for it to find support, the 200 and the 100. That'll probably stick. That's a pretty strong area here at 0.0117. When you got two moving averages hanging around together right there, it may not make it back below that. It may just take on off from there. But those are some great areas right through here to put some limit orders in and just wait for them to hit. And you can put a stop loss, you know, you have a fairly tight stop loss. If you're accumulating like me, I don't use stop losses when I'm in accumulation mode, so. But when I'm trading, yeah, if you're just trading, you definitely want to stop loss to preserve your capital. But I do have some targets at 0.00212, 0.0022, but that measured move for the patterns 0.0236. There is also another measured move up here, depending on how you look at it, because it's also in a ascending triangle. You can view it that way too. And that measured move, I've already got it right there. This little guy right here, and that takes you up to 0.0038. Now getting it at that 200 moving average and going up there, 220% return. And I'm not in this. This one looks like a nice one to get in, I'm telling you. That just made the whole show right there. That's a great setup. Getting back in on that retest. Trigger says, same with JASMY. That low level was so good. Yeah, let's take a look at JASMY. Man, after you guys mentioned that, I had to put in some orders from JASMY. I did that on my margin account. And some of it got filled. It still hasn't got it all yet. JASMY broke. Okay, what's going on, JASMY? I'm looking at this nice rounded bottom shape, and now I'm seeing it break that trend line. It's not bad on these bottoms because this thing is really subjective. Because look, oh, now it's still a rounded bottom, right? So those trend lines are subjective, but let me redraw that. I don't like to alter them and move them. I just like to find one point and see where it best lines up and how many touches I can get. Not that many touches there though. Okay, so let's start from this point, and it still broke that. All right. Well, I don't like the fact that it broke down below that line, although I don't think it's a deal breaker. So let me just play around with these trend lines for a minute on JASMY. And there's my alarm. Oh, that wasn't it. So there's some bearish divergence there. That's what brought us down. We lost the 200 moving average on the daily on JASMY. This guy just kind of took a bearish turn there, didn't it? And this does make sense to me. Okay, I'm looking at these two levels again, and that would correspond with a double bottom scenario. And since it broke this rounding shape, that could be what we're looking at. So, I mean, we're definitely getting a rounded bottom. I mean, that's happening. But it may be more extended. A lot of times, let me come down here so I can draw. And I was even reading over this with Bukowski recently too. You know, you can get the price action and then you kind of get a, what did he call it? A peak? That sounds too, I think he may have said something, but it'll, you know, do something like that. That may be what we're seeing. And where we had a you know, looking at it here, but actually it's just making a bigger rounded pattern, kind of that idea going on. But it does have that falling wedge, and it's got the broadening wedge, and these are bearish. They're meant to break down. So I would be looking at these areas. I mean, you may see 0.0033 and 0.0027 possible just to come back to retest these areas, and it's just making a big accumulation pattern is basically what's happening. The only downside is that it just means that it's going to take this one longer to play out, like maybe the rest of the year to kind of feel this out. So when this happens, it's kind of a slow mover, but it does give you a chance to get back in, and you've got a range, a good little range to work in. because even down at those things, I mean, look, man, you can still double and triple your money within the range that we've got here, right? So it's not a terrible thing. You can play it to your advantage and still make it work out, but it looks like it's going to do that thing. Chirp, chirp, and come back and just slowly accumulate. Trigger says that's some good stuff. I don't know what stuff that is, but as long as it's good, I'm cool with it. So mark those two areas right there, and we'll color code that one so I know what they are. I'm gonna have to make a note here so I can alter my limit orders too now. All right, got my little post-it note there. Striga says, thanks for an insight. I'm just holding till the wheels fly off. That's a great strategy. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I do like to trade, and there are a lot of people out there that trade, but honestly, I trade with a very small amount of my overall bags, I guess you'd say, or my account. Not account, but holdings, I guess. Because you make the most with a long-term hold. That's what I mean. It takes a while, but I mean, we wait. During the cycle, there's only one point where you can accumulate at the bottoms where all the whales do, and on some of these coins we're getting a second chance for all this. I mean, our best places was, you know, November and December, and now we're starting to see some of these altcoins. Surprisingly, I didn't expect some of these altcoins to come back to some of those levels, but they have, and since they're there, it's a good time to pick some of them up again. And maybe we'll be, you know, a little bit quicker taking profits, but maybe not too much, because, you know, the second wave coming up in this market may be when we don't want to, you know, sell off as much of them. But I'll tell you, I wish I had sold more in February when things were kind of coming up a little bit. I wish I'd taken more profits around those times, so I would have more dry powder to put out now. But I do have a plan B. I've got my Bitcoin that I'm able to, and margin that I'm able to use for that. So that's how I work it. I have the margin account, and then as that develops and everything, and I pay that back, and as it grows in value, I can actually pull those altcoins out. That's like me getting them for free. So it's kind of a different way to do a moon bag. So that's how I'm working it right now. But in hindsight, I would have been slower on deploying my capital. But, you know, we can't always play it perfect. But I'm playing it much better than I did last time. We just got to learn as we go. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for being here. I'm going to go ahead and call it a stream. Man, these streams last longer than I intend for them to. You just get carried away and lose track of the time. But I thank you guys for being here. Oh, Striga says I'm down a whole lot. Well, it will bounce back, and the longer we play it, we learn from our mistakes, and in hindsight, we can see what we should have done better, and that's happening to me too. And I do have some bags that are on drawdown, and I've got some that are up. But you know, I think the biggest thing that me personally, I need to work on is take profits just earlier and more often. It was just, I guess, when you go through that bearish stage, then things start getting bullish. It's hard to, you know, take those profits sometimes, because it looks like, well, you know, it could still could be going up, right? But look at AGIX. That's probably a good example. if I can pull it up. Well, I was looking for, there it is, KuCoin. Maybe I should have went with, well, no, this works. But I mean, this one, when it got up to this level, I was about what, 3/4 of the way out of my position. I sold more when it got up here than, because its all-time high last time was like 29 cents, right? I didn't expect it to go up 65 cents so soon. So I was out of most of my position here, and then I was like, you kick yourself when it goes up to 64 cents and you have, like, you know, 25% of your bag left. Because I was wanting to accumulate. I thought it would be coming back down. I'd accumulate it more down here, but that didn't happen. And sometimes that's just the way it goes. But it's finally now, after all this time, after how many months, 2 or 3 months, finally starting to get back to these levels. And I remember on the live stream saying I was going to wait till it come back to these levels to reaccumulate, and it just seemed like it was never going to do it, but it did. Eventually it did come back to the 200 finally. And I think it's going to find support right here in these areas. I do have a target at 20.6 cents. This is my buy area for that coin. So I'm accumulating some more of this now, because this is kind of where I sold it at. So nothing lost on that. Get a chance to build a bigger bag of this, but I've got hopes for this coin. And there's that parabolic structure, and this is what you can expect when you break it. But man, when it's up there, it does, you know, you still feel like it can keep going, even when it comes back over down here. You still say, oh, it just goes back up. Oh, we're still good. We're still, no. You broke structure, man. You broke structure. And that's a lesson that's been, I guess it really drove home with me with XGB. That's when that solidified in my head, that little lesson. So we just learn as we go, these little things. All right, guys, I'm calling out. Thank you so much. V-shape to the downside. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see if we can get to a little outro, but thanks for stopping by, and thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I appreciate you very much. And
for those of you out there that have been hitting that like button, I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, guys.
You like what you see. Well then, please subscribe, eh? And if you like what I do, then smash that like button too.